Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Going Medieval, and of course to the story of Woven Tales with its freshly completed gatehouse. Yes, I did a little bit of work off camera. Thankfully, it only took a few moments, so you really haven't missed much, but the gatehouse is now complete, and I think it looks amazing. This whole section of the town is starting to look more and more, well, castle-like, frankly, and there's a lot more to go as well. In today's episode, we're going to be largely focused on this section and building up the walls and, indeed, the bedrooms, which I think are becoming a significant concern. Now, I do still want to work on the library, and that will be coming in a future episode. But for right now, I think the bedrooms are where we need to focus our attention. Before we get down to business, though, I do want to offer another heartfelt thank you to everyone for the enormous amount of support that this series has received. Saint Algorithmus is beside themselves with joy at the amount of tithe that they have received, and so am I. Thank you ever so much. It really, really does help. Now, the first thing we're going to do here, I think we need to start with a plan. Now, as you can see, I've already started laying out a wall section over here. So we can see that the wall is going to come all the way down to this point. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start preparing this area to receive the wall. Now, I would like it to terminate in a fairly large tower over here that we can use to project our power across this area. Furthermore, I would also very much like to get this little area mined down. Now, I've got a plan, but we'll see how that plan comes together in the next little bit. But the first part really is getting these walls in place. And for a temporary measure, I'm also going to seal off this section just so that I can work down here without exposing this whole area to any potential threats. We are then going to strip away this wall and really get to work. Now, this whole project is going to take an awful lot of stone, which is going to be a bit of a potch for me initially, but we will see what we can do to get around to it. Now, once this wall is done here, I'm going to get rid of these ramps and then pull down this wall over here. And at that point, this whole section will be completely cut off from any ne'er-do-wells who would like to bring harm to Woven Tales. Also, as we are in spring, the trees around here have gained back their leaves. Also, these trees, now that they're mature, are going to start seeding new trees around the place. So you can already see a couple of trees much closer together than I planted them down there. So this is actually slowly becoming more and more forested. And this will be a trend that will continue. We will not cut down any of these sacred trees. These are shrines for all intents and purposes for the Oak Brethren. We are not going to mess with those. However, quite a few people have said that this little gully is becoming more of a pain in our side than anything else, and I agree. So one of the things that we're going to do at the very beginning of this episode, we're going to get rid of these access points. Well, actually, no, this one can stay. This one can stay specifically because if someone is getting down into the gully from this side, they're in full view of our archers. They've not got any protection. But those who get into the gully on this side, and even a little bit over here, because they'll be running relatively close to this wall, they are shielded from any attacks from on top of the Great Hall. And we do not want that to continue. That is actually quite an unpleasant thing. Furthermore, we've got two peeps who need to be switched over to neutral. So there we are, all sorted. It is fantastic to see people in the having all of the armors that they need to have. That being said, Russell is still actually missing a piece of armor. Let's have a go and go have a quick peek in here. Why is that, Russell? Why do we not have armor for you? We definitely do have armor for you, so you just need to go and put it on. So that's down to you on that one. Settlers starving. You fibber, Belial. You got plenty of noms, but perhaps you think that you deserve more noms now because of your heroic rescue of Margaret's polar bear in the last episode. Well, okay, you've got a point. Fair enough. You're on double rations for a little while. But that being said, we do have some more research to do. Apparently, we can get fermenting. That's not something I'm super interested in right now. One person in the comments mentioned that we weren't going to be able to produce steel because we had iron being produced above it, and that was set to forever, so we would use up all of the iron ore. However, steel is made with iron ingots. not iron ore. It's coal and iron ingot, so we are actually okay on that one. But I can certainly see where the confusion come from there. Right, this is going to remain like a very much back burner project for an enormous amount of time, so I wouldn't worry too much about that one. How are we doing for stone? Limestone isn't going too well, actually, so I'm going to say, how about we get back out here and do a little bit more. Well, see, I'm worried that they're going to be dumb and cut themselves off there. So instead, let's go ahead and just cut these back little by little until this whole section is free, and then we'll take that down to the next level. We've got a little bit of coal in reserves. I think it would be well worth us hitting these coal seams rather than turning wood into coal, considering that wood is a relatively limited resource for us right now. But for the time being, I think I'm okay with the system as we have it. We will start digging into this coal seam, though, because there's really not too much reason not to. But I have some big plans for this whole section over here, and we're probably going to be getting to that relatively soon in this episode. But we have a little bit of work to do, and I'm going to drop a cut here and bring you back when we're ready to begin work on this wall proper, and we've already stripped away this wall. Or, of course, when someone raids us. Whichever one happens first. And welcome back. It is day 4, spring 1354. Actually, almost day 5 of spring as it happens. And as you can see, we have now secured this little landing or ledge, or maybe you could even call it a plateau. That seems a little bit bold, though. That's a rather lofty title for such a small space. But we have indeed secured it. There are no more ramps leading up, and everything is fortified. And we've also taken down the wall. Now, you may notice that I have built off a little bit of an area around this side here, because this is where we're going to start building up our new wall. Now, as I've mentioned previously, I want this to be a 2 tall wall, and that will dig into the archer tower that we're going to build over here. I want there to be quite a lot of verticality to this area. Further to that, we're going to need stairs, and you know what? Sure, we'll have 2 stairs on this side leading up to this little landing. I think that will actually be quite cool. Now, before we get too deep into building this, I need to have some measurements. I need to have an idea of how many bedrooms we're going to be building over here. I also have plans to perhaps build a little storage area, but really the bedrooms are the priority, and if we can't fit enough of them, and I'm not sure that we're going to be able to fit too many. Oh, there's a ferret in my footrest. Okay, it is Midna. She has decided to go to sleep there. Fair enough. Her sisters have climbed back into their den and have gone to sleep, but she decided to sleep next to my feet. That's actually quite adorable. Right, so we need to measure things out. Now, we know that we want a 3x3 cavity inside the bedroom, so let's pause this so that they don't start building these walls yet, because I'm not actually sure that I want to build them out of flagstone, though I don't know. There's something nice about it. That being said, we are upgrading in lots of ways. You know what? Let's have a little bit of visual distinction between these rooms, and we'll build this out of... Oops, did I not do that right? There we go. We'll build this out of actual proper limestone bricks. There we go. Now, this gives me the perimeter of the wall, but also lets me know where I can fit a doorway in, because we are going to need a door passing through this little area. Then we're going to want a nice big wall building along here, and we can speed up time now. There we go. This is going to be quite an imposing fortification. Now, there are not going to be any windows on the outside, but what we're going to do over here is I would like to turn this area into our tree farm. And to that end, I would also like to add in some additional storage space for our wood and indeed the sticks that we gather, and perhaps we can make this a basement storage area, or like a 2-part storage area, so that this isn't such a tall building, all things said and done, but will allow for a reasonable amount of storage. Now, I don't want to cut into our growing room too much, and I know that this stony area over here isn't going to allow us to grow trees on it. Perhaps we could have the storage over here, kind of in the middle of the tree area. I mean, that might work, and then they could haul the wood and the sticks over. Yeah, I kind of like that idea, though it does take the materials quite far away from where they might be used, which is the only issue that I have. Still, I like the idea of making use of this otherwise inaccessible soil. So let's go ahead. Now, we're going to obviously lose a little bit of actual growing soil, but I think that we should be okay with that. Let's go with a stick roof. So that means we're going to want... Well, this is going to harken back to the early days of the colony in a way. But I think it'll actually be quite wonderful when we've got it all done. And we'll pop down some stick flooring. Now, I would like to have a little area for heading down to the lower level as well. So, how are we going to set that up, though? That one seems like it might be a little bit more of a potch to do. Perhaps we could have the stairs on the outside, maybe, or we could even do maybe some sort of lean-to structure. But I think for now, this should be good enough. Let's set that all up properly. There we go. This will be a storage for the materials that we bring in from the forest itself, from the little maintained forest there. Right, the bedroom spaces are coming together. Very nice. Let's build these out a little bit more so that we've got the full shapes that we're going to be dealing with. There we are. Actually, we're going to want them to be a little bit more proud of the walls so that we can fit the doors and the windows in as well. Right, as for the windows, let's go ahead and slide these into position. There we are. All the way along. Now, you might be wondering, am I going to be having flooring above it? No. And that's actually kind of the reason why we're doing this project. I would like to move away from having just a flat wooden wall atop. It isn't particularly good for insulation. So instead, we are going to have some thatched roofs, or maybe we'll have the limestone tiles. But I'm actually feeling thatched roofs. See, that is perhaps a difference that we could add. We could have thatch roof over the dry stone lime homes, because this wall is going to continue being too tall all the way along. That's kind of why I'm thinking of moving it back a little bit, but that might be a nice difference. We could have the tile roofing over these homes and thatched roofing over those, and we could keep a bit of the history of Woven Tales in that way. I'm quite keen on that, having kind of a callback to the simpler times. There we go. Let's build out all of those floors. That'll look lovely. Marvellous. I'm really liking the way that this is going together now. Of course, we're going to need some torches out here as well. Let's pop those in right now ahead of time. We'll have some torches just above the door there. But for the most part, we're going to just allow this to be built all the way up. And I wanted this one to be stone to go along with the fact that that is actually part of the ramparts, the part of the actual defensive fortification here. And we're going to have... Well, actually, you know what? Since we're not having a roof up there, we could go across and use the actual brick or the limestone flooring there. No, I think keeping the visual distinction of the wooden flooring up here is more important, really. But we will also be wanting the merlons, of course. So from there, we'll draw these all the way out. There we go. But at the very far corner, we want a little corner section there, just to cap this off. Now, of course, we don't intend to be firing down over here. There shouldn't be any enemies here for us to deal with. However, this will, I think, add to the visual, the thematics of this being a fort and growing into a fort from a humble little colony. I'm very, very keen on that. But at this point, I no longer want these over here, so we're going to do away with pretty much all of these grow zones, and we will likely come over here and chop down those trees in time. Instead, we're going to have grow zones over here for the trees specifically. Now, we could go to the rather extensive amount of effort to prepare this to have the trees a little bit further apart, but honestly, I'm not sure about that one. Well, you know what? Sure, okay. I've convinced myself if it's not worth the effort to do it right, then it's not worth the effort to do it at all. So we're going to get this done properly. Now, I am going to shape this up a little bit, and you might be wondering why. And that is because I would like to continue this theme. We're going to put fortifications just along the perimeter. And I want to have a bit more of an organic shape as a result. You know what? I'm going to keep this little part as a result of that. And we'll have perhaps a little kind of fence perimeter around the edge. We'll see what we can do with that part. But the main section here is to bring everything together. All right, I'm going to allow our peeps to get a little bit more building done. I shall bring you back probably in a few days' time to see the end result. These bedrooms are going up really fast. I'm very, very happy with that indeed. And welcome back, everyone. As you can see, work is continuing apace. We have finished the furnishings of each of the rooms, though we haven't quite finished all of the walls for each of the rooms, and we definitely haven't finished the entirety of the ramparts. But, oh my lord, this took me a while. It also took me a bit longer than I was expecting, simply because placing these zones like this is super finicky, and I kind of wanted to bring you back just to go over what I had to do in order to sort that out and what I think might be the cause. You may also notice that over here I'm placing down more and more spike traps. This is largely just to get rid of the stupid amounts of sticks that we're building up at this point. This is set up for sticks and wood, though I'm kind of tempted to just make it wood, honestly. But again, to the trees, let me demonstrate. If you place down a tree tile, you can place others around it and it'll still be the same zone. Now, if you want it to be separate zones, which is something that we do want, you have to be a little bit more creative about it. Now, you can place down a tile here. You can't place a tile here. Now, if you notice, there are different colors to the tiles. And I think it's something about the colors that affect it. It's very, very peculiar. Let's go ahead and place all these down, and you'll notice I can't place one there, but I should be able to place one there, and now I can place one there. It is such a potch. But we finally got everything set up. I'm going to have to take these away, otherwise we'll have random trees growing all over the place. Though it is still less organic than I might like, but it looks a little bit more sensible. We've got some nice torches on the outside as well. Things are coming along. But one of the other reasons I brought you back is we now have full research, and what that means is that it is time, at a long last, for us to look at crossbows too. I think going for the better crossbows over the armor. Well, you know what? I'm kind of back and forth on the armor. Now, the only other types of armor that remain, we can't make any better light armor, but we could start making things like mail armor, and indeed better shields, though honestly we're not really relying on melee much at all, and melee seems like a very, very hit and miss mechanic at the moment. So I'm not expecting that we're going to go deep into melee regardless. Whereas crossbows, of course, this would give us the heavy crossbow. Now I imagine the heavy crossbow, much like the longbow, is going to have a skill requirement, whereas the regular crossbows don't, much like the short bows. But I believe that the heavy crossbow is likely going to require some additional work over here. Let's have a look at you. Requires carpentry skill of 20 to even make this, and 3 mechanical parts. Oh, that is a bit nasty. I'm not going to lie, that's actually really nasty. That puts this deep into the... It's going to be a while before we even have one territory. But we'll set them up to be made, and sure, go ahead and make those as and when you can. We have no spare crossbows, and indeed I don't believe that at this point we have anyone who's even getting close to smithing 20. I've got one person with smithing 15, oh, actually, you know what? My wife's biggest fan. You're getting on there with smithing 17. Oh, I like that a lot. Yes, please. I'm going to drop your priority down to 3. Let's try and focus all of the attention for my wife's biggest fan on the smithing from now on. Let's get that skill up there into the 20s. And once we can actually hit that 20, then we can finally start making mechanical components. And that will indeed also mean that we're going to have these traps everywhere. It will be grand. One sad thing I'm noticing is that with these traps in place, we can't actually place down the tiles there, which honestly is a bit of a potch. I'm going to wait until we can make more mechanical traps though before we replace those. I would rather wait on that one if we have the option. I admire your desire to use and validate my placement of these beds, my wife's biggest fan, but I don't mind if you choose somewhere that's actually, you know, not wet. I'm just going to put it out there. You're more than welcome to have a home or have a bedroom that doesn't make you wet while you're sleeping. Just a thing. Either way, though, let's continue expanding out a little bit. I'm going to want some paths going all the way over here, and indeed all the way down there. What we do down... I'm really strongly thinking that we're going to be taking away some of the farmland here in the relatively near future, I'm thinking. So I'm going to lay this down as if we're doing that. Let's pop some in there as well. There we go. We will be stripping this back. That gives us a little spot over here that we can grow other odds and sods. I wonder what we could put here. We could grow some fresh foods, perhaps, or tall grass, or I could even just have some decorations. And you know what? That isn't necessarily a bad idea. We could perhaps even have some nice outdoors gaming areas. I think that actually is quite a lovely idea. Let's go ahead and rotate these around. Sure, we'll have two little gaming tables there. And further to that, I'll go ahead and I'll put down the nice brick there. There you go. If you fancy it, you can wake up in the morning and go have a little game of backgammon against your friends, and just sharpen the mind after a nice restful sleep. Perhaps if the weather is nice. I mean, obviously, if it's not, then I don't blame you for going to do backgammon in the Great Hall, of course. But things continue afoot. Right now, we are largely waiting on more resources to be gathered and brought along, and it's going to take a little while. How is the mining going? Well, actually, the mining isn't doing terribly bad down here, I will confess, but we need to start getting into this section. We are then going to be going down the next layer. Now, a lot of people have said, why don't you build a tunnel over here? I mean, I could, but honestly, I'm not ready to yet, because I don't know where the perimeter is going to be over here, and if I sink a tunnel, you can't easily unsink a tunnel. So that's my primary reason for holding off. Now, are you going to get stuck behind there? I don't know. Ah, thank goodness. Well, that would have been awkward. They have a penchant for getting themselves trapped. It is true. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to gather up resources and hold them in. And yes, they do have a bit of a long walk right now. And maybe at some later point, we're going to add a secondary gatehouse back here. I'm thinking that's actually a very, very strong possibility, as I think only having a single primary gatehouse doesn't make as much sense, but we equally might just wall off a section back here and expand out Woven Tales' defended perimeter in the future. But I shall bring you back in a couple of minutes when we have a little bit more progress to report, and perhaps we might even have the bedrooms finished. So see you soon. They wanted slaves. They demanded blood. Indiscriminate raiders intent on pillage and plunder charged into the village. Woven Tales folk took up arms, making ready for battle. There are going to be 5 progeny marauders, 11 ruthless progeny marauders, and 3 fierce progeny marauders. What are they armed with? It looks like for the most part they are armed only with melee weapons. Oh, you poor fools. You have chosen the wrong place to attack. Oh, my lord. That could have been nasty if we were down in the mines. But we have a raid. As you can see, it is raining pretty hard on spring the 11th, 1354. We've got plenty of traps laid out. Our tree farm is actually coming along quite well, I must say. Coming along very well. The homes are slowly coming together, little by little, and as you can see, I made a slight adjustment to this because honestly I just love the braziers outside. But okay, should we attack them from the rooftops of the Great Hall, or should we let them go over the traps and then take them on at our actual guardhouse? Now, a lot of people have presented that they're quite concerned that the windows will allow people to come through. I've not seen this happen, so I'm actually going to be a little bit bold, and I'm going to say we're going to wait for them to approach and then test out for science this part of our defenses. And for now, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to lock the gates. I don't want anyone going outside. I mean, you can go out here, that's fine, but you can't go outside over there. There's not much reason for you to go outside, really. We've got stupid amounts of resources inside Woven Tales. We've got enough resources right now that we could probably just fend off a siege. Obviously, a trebuchet would just ruin our day, but if it was just people outside, then we would probably be able to outlast them rather than them being able to starve us out or anything even similar. Now, where are they going to go? They're wandering on their way down. I think it's probably time for us to get our peeps arrayed along the battlements. Now, we're going to have a couple of people coming around here, so let's get Russell, Dr. Lady Terra. You're going to be able to do a lot of damage from this position. Manu, I would like you to be atop, along with Pepster there. You can go stand there. Fui, we're going to have you on this side, but we are going to have Mousy Karina and Danda indoors in here. And my wife's biggest fan and Melody Rose indoors over here. Now I'll obviously position them a bit better once they're there. But our melee fighters, you can just get more work done, honestly. I shouldn't need your help for this one. Now the raiders are making a fast approach, but they've got a complete array of traps to go through. Now it seems their pathing is taking them around the traps, which is a little bit saddening, but there we go. Trap misfire and boom. Gewis, you got skewered. We should see a good couple of people getting skewered. Wow, that took them down really fast. I don't imagine that this attack is going to be able to do much against us at all, especially with Dr. Lady Terror on the battlements. No, their end is nigh, really. I mean, I could position you over there, perhaps. It might be a little bit better, but this is fine. Just take them down as they're coming around the corner there. There we are. That'll do nicely. Really, I want to see what happens in here. Now, at this point, I am going to err on the side of caution. We're going to grab all of our melee defenders, and I'm going to array them inside here to help out our defenders should we need them to be there. Let's position you in. Well, actually, you can move there. You can stay where you are. My wife's biggest fan. Let's move you up. And Melody Rose, let's position you there. There we go. That should work hopefully very well. We'll see how it goes. But this should go well. Dr. Lady Terra, I think it's time for you to make your move over here now. Russell, yeah, I think you've done all the good you're going to do in that position. Let's get you into a location over here. Now, they're not going for the windows, notice. They are not trying to get through. They are instead being killed by our archers, attacking them from the sides, as would be the case in a real castle defense. Oh, this is fantastic. Pepster, how about you go and attack from that window? There we go. This is glorious. Absolutely murderously glorious. There we go. Got a lot of people going down. We don't need to defend ourselves, so we can stand over here to get good sight lines on the enemy there. I know it's a little bit of quite a lot of stuff going down here. In fact, let's see if I toggle the UI off there. Oh, look at that. That I'm gonna be honest, that's a little bit brutal. That is actually somewhat disgustingly effective, my lord. But it helps to turn off the UI a little bit. That's the only way I know. I don't know if there's a hotkey that allows us to do it easier. Do let me know if there is. I don't imagine you're getting through these doors anytime soon. They've got 300 health. That being said, that has 500. Ooh. So, interesting. I wonder if we can shoot out through the doors. We might be able to. Either way, the enemies are going to be so badly wounded here that our melee attackers, if they do manage to get through and attack them, it's going to just be an opportunity for them to train. Look at all of the level ups that were going on there. The beleaguered settlers came under attack in the spring of 1354. Their ordeal lasted 4 hours and 24 minutes. Mercifully, all settlers survived the raid. 15 sworn enemies died during the fight. Dr. Lady Terra was the bravest of the settlers, dealing the most blows to the foe, as always. You can just clean up there. I don't even think you're going to get out of it. My goodness. The bodies piled up so much. They were squelched up against the door with such force that they just slipped through the bars and all their clothes fell off and probably some of their limbs. Oh my lord, it is gruesome. This area has been given over as a shrine to death itself. My lord. Let's go ahead. Allow everything. Peeps, you're going to have so much work to do for a while. Cleaning all of this up is going to be a massive pain in the bum. and resetting a bunch of these traps as well, they did actually do a decent little bit of work. Considering I only built them because I was drowning in sticks, that was actually quite a good return on investment, all things said and done. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay down a cut here, because frankly, the next, 10 minutes of my real lifetime is going to be spent watching them painstakingly dragging all corpses off to be burnt and all of the armor and stuff off to be dismantled. In fact, we're getting to the point now that I'm starting to think we need more pyres. Because being only able to burn 6 corpses at a time? No. I think we might need to expand our funerary service a little bit. We'll see what I can come up with that. I don't think we're going to be doing it on this hill anymore. Maybe I'll build a proper area, a big raised. Oh! It just occurred to me. We could. Oh no! I don't want to go. I don't necessarily want to go down the road of having like pyramidal structures with bloody steps as the gore from our defeated foes just drains down to fertilize the ground. I don't think that's a tale for Woven Tales. No, maybe a Dark Aavak fort. Yes, absolutely. Death temples everywhere, but. No, the people of Woven Tales are a kinder sort. I think we're just going to keep going with the pyres as they are. But I shall bring you back in a couple of moments when all of this mess has been cleaned up. So see you soon. And it looks like we're just about done with the final Merlon up on the wall. And with that, we are now in a position to start roofing over these bedrooms. And once that's done, we can finally lock down the bunkhouse over here. Now, at this point, it is day 2 of summer, year 1354, and we haven't yet brought in everything from outside, and that is because we've actually run out of room. Our main storage, our material storage, is actually quite full, but this is completely chock-a-block. Now, part of that is because we've recently switched over from our winter to our summer garb, and everyone has managed to equip some new items. So whilst we're just restocking the summer clothes, and after that, actually, we'll begin dismantling items and based on their quality level. So we should make some more room as we go, and indeed these are already working on it. But it is time for us to place down some roofing tiles. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted this to be too tall is simply so that we can have a proper roof for our bedrooms over here. Now, over here, I'm intending to build a rather large and quite tall and possibly intimidating tower, but that's going to be for another episode entirely. But for now, we have some options. Now, the primary options that I'm playing with, I'm not going to be putting any thatch or sticks on these little cottages. So it's going to be limestone, or potentially we could go for... Oh, actually, I'm going to have to put a little bit of a brace on the back here for each one. Okay, let me get these in place. There we go. But it'll either be a limestone or clay shingle roof. Now, we could obviously do what we've done up on the Great Hall, and that is have clay shingles betwixt 2 kind of end caps of tiles so that they match up with the walls, and that'll be very easy to do. Or we could have some of them with full roofs, something like this perhaps, and then clay on a couple, just to create a little bit of visual variance there, like as if some of the roofs have had the tiling changed over time and maintenance been done, but each option has a lot of merit. Now, this should be relatively fast for us to do because we've got quite a lot of clay brick tiles and an awful lot of limestone, and the limestone tiles actually only require limestone from what I understand. Yes, they do. So we should see these going up pretty quickly. So we'll be able to really have a look at how this is going to look for us. Now, I am quite torn between the 2 options. But hopefully this will give us a really solid idea. Now, we're only going to have these tiles as the clay tiles. I don't want it to look too uniform. Having only these the limestone tiles everywhere, I just really don't feel it's gonna stand out enough for me. So there is a fairly big part of me that wants to have either just a random house here and there with a different type of roof, or we go with the end cap design. So I'm going to allow them to get on with that. We should have plenty of wood to make it all happen. I had to get rid of a couple of the trees just so that we had a proper path leading down here so that people could get in position. There we go. Starting to see these roofs going up now. There we are. Fantastic. Hopefully we'll see a couple more of them done. Now then, based only on this, I think we're going to go with the caps. I think I've decided. Yep. Yeah. Looking at that, I think the caps are going to be a better option. Now, of course, I'd actually quite like your inputs as well. So do let me know down in the comments below what you think about this. Oh, actually, there's one other option, and that is to have these caps present. Oh, that one hasn't been placed down. I'll have to get that one sorted in just a moment. There we go. Have these caps only on the in the middles here, and have these on each of the load-bearing walls. That might work. That might create a very interesting design. In fact, let's have a look at that one. Maybe. Let's have a gander. It's nice and easy to change my mind on this one, so it isn't too much of a problem. But I think that might work. I'm not entirely sold on it. I'm not entirely sold on it yet. I think this might have a stronger overall feel to it, but that certainly doesn't look awful. I think it's better than having entire rooms with a certain type of roofing over it. Yeah, it's kind of warming. I'm kind of warming to it, but I'm not going to set it in stone that we're going to keep this. I may change it. Do let me know in the comments what you think about this design or this design. Do you want us to have roofs over the homes that are similar to the Great Hall, or do you like having each individual house with a combination of limestone and clay shingles? We'll see what comes of that in the next episode. Now, speaking about the end of the episode and the episode as a whole, it is about that time for us to start wrapping things up. But I thought I would give you a glimpse of the last bit of work that I had for our tree farm here, and that is the fortification of the natural land. I'm really, really attracted to the aesthetic of the castle kind of growing out of the ground, kind of natural land masses kind of piercing and dotting the landscape, as if the castle, or rather the colony, is conforming to the land around it and is just enhancing it, fortifying it, and just more following the natural shape of the terrain rather than modifying the terrain to our own ends. Now, this is how I typically play any kind of builder game, and indeed any kind of survival game, Minecraft, anything like that. I tend to prefer to modify what's already there and work with what's there, because it gives a much more interesting look. If you're inclined to always break everything down into neat grids and boxes of maybe 9x9, perhaps some other number, no shade to Direwolf, I actually love his Let's Plays, but it does create this very industrial feel, and I think games like this really benefit when you have a more organic feel to it, and that's what I love about this particular design. It isn't so much that we just decided that we would build up a landmass to grow trees on. There was already a landmass here. We just, kind of shaped it a little bit, made it more defensible. But otherwise, we're using the land as we found it. And this is the general theme that I want to continue with Woven Tales throughout the rest of our designs. Now, again, we're going to want a fairly large structure over here. I'm not sure how wide this is going to be. I'm fairly certain it's not going to be that wide. That's ridiculous. But the tower over here is going to be fairly large. And then we're going to build off a new wall away from that. Now, am I going to move these homes back? I might not. There's quite a lot of requests in the comments that I simply adjust the design to accommodate it. Now, that does raise some questions with this house in particular, because it kind of borders the Oak Brethren temple area, and I want to leave that as natural looking as I possibly can. Wood is about the most well, it's not really artificial, but planks of wood and such. That's about as far as I really want to go in the man-made design of it. I want to try and keep this as natural as we can. So I'll probably get rid of that bedroom, and if we do keep these ones, then we'll have others adjoining them, and they will back up to maybe a little bit of free room back here. I'm not really sure. It all depends on where we end up putting the tower on this side. But I think that is a pretty good place to wrap things up for today. We had a bit of excitement with the raid, though really it was a foregone conclusion. The windows worked amazingly. The enemies did not climb through them. Yes, it looks like they should be able to. I don't know if that is going to change in the future, but while this is the case, I'm happy to use the windows as arrow slits for all intents and purposes. But that is going to be it from me. We've massively expanded out our tree farm, and I think it looks amazing. We've got a dedicated storage for wood and sticks, and we've added plenty of new homes. So with that, let's go ahead and lock up the bunkhouse. This can be kept for the next time we've got a sudden deluge of people needing some hospital time, some time to rest and recuperate, regardless of the day or night shift. So we should always have enough beds now for the time being, but we'll keep that as an emergency option just in case. But that is going to be it from me for today. I really do hope you've enjoyed our glimpse into Woven Tales in this episode. Do let me know your thoughts on the roofs we've got over the houses down here. Again, the roofs over here are probably going to be thatch or wicker. I think that'll look a little bit nicer with the dry stone walls that we've got there, whereas these proper shingles look a bit better with the limestone bricks. But that is going to be it from me. Once again, thank you ever so much for all of your support on this series, and if you enjoyed what you saw and you want to see more, then do consider leaving a comment and or a like on the video down below, and may the blessings of Saint Algorithmus follow you wherever your path may take you. But until next time, do take care, everyone.